Ladies, after 60, love can feel more beautiful and more unpredictable than ever. Have you ever wondered why men at this age can seem so hard to read when it comes to love? One day he looks at you with such devotion, as if you're the sun warming his entire world. The very next, he grows distant, leaving you in the dark. That doesn't mean his feelings have faded or that you've done anything wrong. In fact, he may simply be moving through what science and psychology describe as the stages of male attachment in love. There are 3 stages in this journey, but most women completely miss the second one. And I know that for women over 60, after all the highs and lows we've already faced, we're not searching for fleeting romance anymore. We're looking for something real, a bond, a companionship that feels steady and true. But here's the challenge. At this age, men have just as much experience, and they've often learned to hide their feelings behind masks of indifference. On the surface, they may seem distant, but underneath lies a mix of fear, longing, and a deep desire to be loved. If you can see through this, you'll realize that silence or space isn't always a sign he's pulling away. It can be proof that he's falling for you more deeply than you think. Welcome back to Journey After 60. In today's video, we'll explore the 3 stages a man goes through when he truly falls in love, and why the second stage is the most misunderstood, yet also the most defining. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize the signs, but also know how to respond in a way that makes love after 60 stronger, steadier, and more meaningful than ever. Number 1. The spark. When the first flame of love ignites. Every love story begins with a spark. For men, this first stage often arrives suddenly and powerfully, like in a Tom and Jerry cartoon when the frying pan comes out of nowhere and smacks him awake. He notices you. His brain lights up like Las Vegas, and dopamine floods his system. Scientists at Rutgers University have even compared this moment to a powerful drug. In those early encounters, reason takes a back seat and emotions take the wheel. That's why he seems enchanted, as if the whole world shrinks down to just you. I've seen this happen in my own life and in those around me. A man I knew in his 60s had been living alone for nearly a decade after his wife passed away. Then, during a volunteer event, he met a woman who changed everything. He told me she walked into the room and brought with her a light I hadn't seen in decades. Suddenly, he was livelier, joking more, showing off the best parts of himself, like a younger man reborn. This is when men see you through rose-colored glasses. Every word you speak feels profound, every story a treasure. He may text constantly, sprinkle in emojis, exaggerate shared interests, just to bond with you. You mention you loved gardening, and suddenly he recalls his long-forgotten tomato plants. It might seem over the top, but what's happening is simple. His brain is whispering, "This woman might be the one." For men over 60, the spark can feel even stronger. After years of routines, losses, or loneliness, an unexpected connection feels like stepping back into color after living too long in black and white. Still, we must remember this is not lasting love. Psychologists call it infatuation. Beautiful, but fragile, like fireworks that dazzle and then fade. Many women, especially later in life, get swept up in this intensity and feel disappointed when it doesn't instantly turn into something lasting. The lesson here is clear. Attraction is not the same as commitment. As Aristotle once said, "The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet." In love, too, the burst of passion can be sweet, but lasting love requires patience to reach its fruit. However, stage 1 has its purpose. It breaks down the walls that both men and women may carry after decades of life, walls of habit, loss, or fear. It reminds us that our hearts are still capable of feeling alive, of racing, of daring to hope again. And for many, that realization alone is healing. But like all beginnings, it is just that, a beginning. Soon, the intensity softens, the brain chemistry settles, and the real test begins. This is where most women misunderstand, mistaking his shift as disinterest. In reality, it's simply the next turn in a man's journey of love. Number 2. Chaos, when the emotional storm of love unfolds. When love begins to grow, why does his heart suddenly feel like a battlefield between desire and fear? If stage 1 is fireworks, stage 2 is when the smoke clears and he suddenly asks himself, "Wait, what am I doing?" This is when the dopamine rush of infatuation starts to fade. He's no longer just enchanted. His mind is being pulled between two voices. One whispers, "She's wonderful. Open your heart." The other warns, "Be careful. Don't get hurt again." That inner tug of war is why he might seem warm one moment and distant the next. Attentive today, withdrawn tomorrow. Psychologists call this the avoidance phase. And here's the irony. Many women mistake it for disinterest. In reality, he may actually be falling deeper in love, but his brain panics, stirring up old memories of heartbreak, betrayal, or loss. On the outside, it looks like mixed signals. On the inside, it's really a silent interrogation. Can I trust her with my heart? Is it safe to let go? Will she stay if she sees me at my most vulnerable? That's why he might tease you, challenge you, or reveal something personal just to gauge your reaction. It's not a game. It's an unconscious test born from fear. The poet Rumi once said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." His wounds may whisper warnings, but they're also the doorway to deeper intimacy. If he feels judged or pressured, he'll retreat further into himself. But if he senses patience, empathy, and calm presence, those wounds start to feel less threatening. I often think of this stage like crossing a bridge in the dark. He takes a step forward, then steps back to test its strength. Each time you remain steady instead of panicking, the bridge grows sturdier. Each time you respond with calm instead of drama, the bridge becomes strong enough for him to cross, until finally he reaches the other side, where love feels safe. If you've ever experienced this avoidance phase in a relationship after 60, share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be the very light another woman needs while walking through her own storm. For women over 60 navigating romance later in life, this stage is both challenging and empowering. It challenges you not to interpret his silence as rejection, and it empowers you to recognize that your steadiness is exactly what he needs to thrive. The truth is, this chaos is not the end of love, it's the refining fire. And if he passes through it with you, his heart emerges ready for something greater. What waits beyond the storm is not another test, but the moment when he finally surrenders fully into love. Number 3, the surrender, where love becomes his true refuge. It's astonishing how a man's heart, once guarded like a fortress, can suddenly open like an unlocked door. This is the moment when the battles inside him quiet down, when fear no longer controls him, and when love stops feeling like a risk and instead becomes a place of rest. After all the sparks and storms, a man finally raises his white flag and admits, "Yes, I'm in love." Researchers at the University of California discovered that when men build deep emotional bonds, their oxytocin, the hormone of safety and attachment, rises significantly. That's why his behavior shifts so noticeably in this stage. No longer driven by the rush of dopamine or the tension of doubt, he moves with steadiness. His tone softens, his presence feels calmer, and perhaps most importantly, he begins to plan not just for today, but for tomorrow. I think of my neighbor John, now 65. For years after losing his wife, every relationship he attempted stalled in hesitation and mistrust. But when he met the woman who would later become his partner, something changed. At first, he still pulled back at times, but one evening, during a quiet dinner, he spoke of traveling together, revisiting old cities, discovering new places. He smiled and said, "I just can't imagine doing these things without you anymore." That simple statement was surrender. Not dramatic, not flashy, just honest. In this stage, you'll notice his language shift. "I" gradually becomes "we." He brings you into his plans, his stories, and his hopes. Even his old scars no longer serve as barriers. Instead, they become bridges, ways of letting you see his truest self. Philosophers have long said that love is the union of two souls willing to trust. Khalil Gibran once wrote, "Love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation." But I believe depth is also revealed in surrender, in the moment a man chooses closeness over fear. Later in life, that choice carries even more weight. After decades of heartbreak, loss, or loneliness, surrender doesn't happen by chance. It happens because he's decided you are worth the risk. That's what makes love after 60 so extraordinary. It isn't a reckless leap, but a deliberate step. And once he reaches this stage, you see it in his consistency. No more disappearing acts, no more hot and cold. Instead, he offers steady attention, invested time, shared energy, and conversations that naturally turn toward the future, travel, family, dreams, and even the vision of growing older together with dignity. Think of this stage as finally coming home. The spark was the departure. The chaos was the storm along the journey, and surrender is the threshold into a warm house where you can set down your bags and breathe. This is when love truly begins. Yet, surrender is not the end. It's the foundation. When a man lays down his defenses, he frees himself to love more deeply, and you, in turn, are free to receive that love without hesitation. What feels like the end of his journey is really the beginning of a richer one. So perhaps the real question isn't how men fall in love, but what we, as women and men over 60, can learn from this path. The spark gives us hope, the chaos tests our patience, and surrender invites us into companionship that is true and lasting. Together, these stages revealed the deeper meaning of love in this season of life. And if you'd like to go even deeper into this topic, I recently shared a video about the 5 key feelings that shape how older men decide whether to truly love a woman or simply use her. You can find it on my channel. I'll leave the link in the description so it's easy for you to watch next. When we step back and look at these 3 stages together, a pattern emerges that explains so much of the mystery behind men's behavior. The spark shows us the thrill of new beginnings. The chaos reveals the inner battles between fear and desire. And the final surrender brings the peace of knowing that real love isn't born out of fireworks or drama, but out of patience, trust, and the willingness to stand side by side. For women, the most important lesson is simple yet profound. Don't mistake his distance for disinterest. In the storm of stage 2, a man isn't running away from you. He's wrestling with himself. If you can stay calm, true to who you are, and give him the space to choose, you create the safety that makes surrender possible. Love matures when fear is met with patience. And isn't that what we're all seeking in this season of life? Not a fleeting passion that burns out quickly, but a steady flame that warms us through the years. At 60, 70, or beyond, love is no less powerful. It's simply more honest. It asks us to bring our whole selves, including our scars, into the light. My hope is that this reflection helps you see men not as distinct or confusing, but as human beings whose hearts long for connection just as deeply as yours does. If this spoke to you, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, where we share more conversations about love, wisdom, and the beauty of aging. And I'd love to know which stage resonated most with your own past or current relationships. Your story might be the very encouragement another woman needs on her journey today. Thanks for watching my video, and see you in the next one.